なんで私。本気で戦ったんだもの。ビターな涙は宝物ですよ。
What's going on, trainers? We have episode number 56 of Pokemon Horizons, and I didn't like this episode very much. I thought it was a very boring episode, to be honest. But let me start with this. Let me start with some positives, okay? Number one, the first positive is I do think that the art towards the tail end of the battle, the Sakuga, if you will, and Sakuga, for those who aren't familiar with, is a anime term basically saying when a show has spent the majority of their art cost or like their artistic spending, basically they put the most money in like this one scene in a show. Typically, if you've watched like shonen anime like Bleach or My Hero or One Piece, this is gonna be like that big scene to where like the artists, you know, that they were just like going off. I think that was spent at the end of the battle between 𝐜𝐴𝐧𝐬𝐭 and between Florigato. And you could just tell when 𝐜𝐴𝐧𝐬𝐭 hits Florigato with that move, like they have some really good art there. And I was like, that looks really good. That's positive number one. Positive number two is I genuinely do like when Liko began to cry at the end of it. And she's been finding her way for a long time. And she's been finding out who she is as a trainer. And she's mostly figured that out. But one of the kind of missing key components is still battling and figuring out her passion. I do believe she's found her passion by losing. You know, crying is a very serious effect. And the gym leader, you know, she grabs and hugs her. She was like, hold on to these like hurtful tears because that's what's going to drive your passion forward into becoming a better Pokemon battle trainer, essentially. So I do genuinely like that. Third thing, I do like the introduction of Penny. I didn't like Penny. It was much taller than Dot. And in the game, she's very much like our size. So it's assumed that she's around the 9 to 12 years old age as well, too. And maybe that is here. Maybe she's more towards like the 12-ish age. But she was much larger than Dot. So it makes it seem like she's a bit older. But I genuinely did like seeing Penny here. And I genuinely, the third point, I'm going to continue on the Penny rant, is I do like that she introduced Dot, or, you know, by happenstance, by Dot meeting her and stuff. I do like that they were introduced to the Scarlet and Violet book. Which seems based on next episode's preview, that's going to lead us into the next theme where we're exploring more and you know, finding a lot more in the Paldean region. So those are the three positives to the episode. Now, let me talk about the negatives. And if you want to stop there because, you know, you really love this episode and you don't want to hear my opinion on it, hey, no problem. Thank you for joining. Hit me with that big old like button. I'll see you guys next episode for episode 57. For those who want to stick around, here's my one. Well, I have a lot of points of contention, and first off, I just think the general episode was boring, and I was pretty disappointed in the battle overall. One of the things, though, that I definitely did want to point out is, and you guys can correct me in the comments because I could very well be wrong. I'm not going to go research. I'm just going to pull this opinion out of my ass, and with the know-how that I could totally be wrong. But correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if it was Dot's fight or if it was Roy's fight, but I'm pretty sure on one of the fights, once one of the Pokemon in the battle of the 4 Pokemon, right? Because it's a dual battle, 2-on-2. I'm pretty sure that once one of them was unable to battle, the fight was over. But in this fight between Liko and between 𝐒𝐿𝐴, once one of the Duck Trio and the Low Kicks were unable to fight and the battle kept going on, and I was like, what? Doesn't that mean that the battle ended? So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was like, that... So, it was over for them, but not for us? Like, that's weird, right? Again, I could be wrong. I could have just be misremembering, and if that's true, ignore that point. For the rest of it, though, I didn't really like Liko's fight or her battle. Once, she got completely owned, right? Like, she did her transformation, her terastallization, and she pretty much just got owned after that. There was not really any fight from Florigato. She was like, oh, Florigato really wants to fight. It has the battle spirit, you know, terastallization. And 𝐒𝐿𝐴's like, terastallization, by the way 𝐒𝐿𝐴 did her little spin to do the terastallization was really cool. But then she just got pwned and owned, and the battle was over right after that. So there was really, like, there was not even any reason to terrestrialize because she just got immediately just KO'd after that. So it was pretty boring on that effect. But the fight in general, like, it spent a lot of time focusing on Katie and her low kicks, which, by the way, low kicks, really, really cool. Like, I like low kicks more now than I did in the game because it gave low kicks a lot more personality here and made him a lot cooler of a Pokemon. But the main fight was mostly focused on Katie, and unlike Roy's fight, Roy figured out how to battle more closely with 𝐒𝐿𝐴 and learn how to fight better with Braxius as a partner, and he learned how to kind of battle as one with a partner and play off the other Pokemon's strengths and weaknesses, and he was able to kind of figure it out through the battle. And it was literally him and Braxius partnering to battle, so it was more satisfying to watch, as I imagine it would be like if I was in the stands there. It'd be a much more enthralling battle to watch because there was a lot more team orientedness, as there should be, if that makes sense. And he kind of figured out slowly, but he figured it out through the events that occurred within the fight. And if you think of Dot's fight kind of sucked, but, you know, similar value there. I think Roy's had the best out of the three. I think Roy had the best battle, and he's the character I like the least. So this is a big moment for me to tell you this, because I think Roy, I hate him as a character. I still think he shouldn't even be in the anime. But I think out of the three, he had the best fight. But even Dot figured out how to work with Ayano and Belly Bolt and figure out how to, again, play off their partners, you know, strengths and weaknesses. But Liko didn't, because it was just like all Katie was like, you're about to see me go off. And she did, you know, hey, go girl. You know, she went off. But then it's like, oh, low kicks and duck trio are out. Now it's all about one-on-one with Liko and Chili. And it was like, well, that's not the point of this. It's how to work with the partner and stuff. So I just thought, you know, the battle sucked. So that's kind of the first, you know, that's kind of like the main point of contention. Then you have the anime breaking away to Dot, and of course Terapagos, you know, he went and ran away again. And although I did put it in my positive section, the just discovery of, you know, Dot going out, basically the show breaking away to go do something else, I thought was really boring, and I kind of felt my eyes glazing over a little bit. So that's kind of the other piece of that, is like, okay, well, it took too much away from the episode. So I think those two things combined, of less focus on Liko, where this should have been all Liko's episode. It should have just been 23 minutes of her figuring out how to battle from minute 1 to minute 23 or 20 or whatever it was. But we broke away for too long, and then we gave too much attention to Katie. So although there was some positives in there, I think, for her as a trainer and stuff, I just would have liked to have seen her get there, or get to that point a little differently. So those are kind of my points of contention. So overall, I think this is like one of my, I don't want to say least favorite, because we're 56 episodes or whatever it is into this season. So, you know, there's probably, I would say there's probably 10 episodes that I think are, you know, less than the sum of their parts. And I would put this in that category of, you know, 10 roughly, you know, that was just okay. And it should have been all Liko. It should have been a lot more focus there. It should have had more time with her terastalizing. It should have had her more working together with Katie a little bit better. It should have had her Florigato working more closely aside with low kicks, right? Like when low kicks went off into the bug struggle and everything else, she should have been there as well, feeding off of that energy with Florigato. Maybe she even terastalizes to capitalize on that moment, and they could have taken out both of those Pokemon. But it just had her instead being a viewer and just standing and watching what Katie and low kicks was doing, and then coming in after, when it should have been like, you're doing a team battle, you should be a team. So yeah, those are my thoughts there. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this episode. Again, you could be on the completely other side of the field with this. You could have loved it, loved every moment, and tell me all about that in the comments. I'm just on the other side of the fence right now, saying this wasn't really for me, this episode. Still love Liko, best character, love her, love Florigato, but just I felt disappointed in her battle, where I thought this should have been like the moment. All right, I'll see you guys next week for episode 57. right? 57. Yep. See you there, my friends. Peace out.